Hi and welcome everybody. Welcome to a new Funky Vinyls video where we dig around the world for funk records. So let's put the needle in the groove. And we start off with the Funk Factory, which is a joint effort between Poland and the US. The musicians mostly are from Poland, although that's not really 100% true. It are session players from Poland, the famous ones. So you have on sax and on violin Michael Urbanik. You have the keyboards is by Wojciech Podolski. I am butchering names again, starting off the right way or the wrong way, depending how you look on it. But you also have, for example, session players from the US. Steve Gadd is on drums, and you have on bass Anthony Jackson. So you really have that unique mix. The album is from '75. It's recorded in New York in the Atlantic Studios, and it sounds wonderful. And for some reason, this cover always reminds me of a train. There is no train on the cover, but I always think there is. For the next album, for sure there is a train on it. By the Rimshots, their debut Soul Train. But actually, it should be called Funk Train. Just listen to that sample. You can hear the train, the funk train coming. Woo-hoo! Just the way you like it. This album is filled with dirty, funky songs. It's from '72, perfect era. And the next song that I want to sample is Neighbor, Get Your Own. That sounded so familiar, and that's because it is also used in the beginning of the 90s in the acid jazz scene. And I think many of you will know that scene from the UK. I didn't know that song, it was on Totally Wired, some volume, I don't know exactly which one, and I thought it was released at that time. It sounded so fresh, it sounded so now, but it turns out it was already recorded 20 years before. That's amazing. And as we're traveling around the world, we step off the funk train and we go into the funky airplane with Jorge Ben, Allo Allo, Como Vai, Brazilian album. Of course, all of you know Jorge Ben. This is an album from 1980, so this is just after the classic period. I think a lot of people skip this one because it's 80s. It has a boogie vibe, there's a reason. It's produced by Lincoln Olivetti. They put in horns in everything they produce. But if you like funky music, boogie music, and you see this one cheap, pick it up, because it sounds so wonderful. It's soulful, it's funky, but of course it also has that Brazilian vibe, that fiesta vibe that we all love. The next album, it really is a mystery to me. I found it while digging for Brazilian records. It was in a bin with Brazilian records. It's called Tony, Gregory and the Family Child, One More Time. If you sample it, it sounds really strong US soul funk. The album is from 1974. If you look at the label, it's really funky. It is a great looking label. So something wasn't adding up, because it sounds like a US album. Turns out it was originally pressed only in Germany. I think that's where it originated from. And it was also then pressed in Brazil. I have never seen it before. I've never seen it afterwards. But what makes the mystery even more complete, when you look up Tony Gregory, he comes from Jamaica, or he was living in Jamaica for a long time. It doesn't have any reggae on it, not even a little bit. It really only has that funky, soulful sound that we all love. And as we're talking mystery albums, that's for sure true for the next album. Okko, Sitar and Electronics. Pressed in Germany, released in Germany on the BASF label. It turns out Okko is in fact Dutch, a Dutch sitar player. I didn't know Holland had any sitar players, but if you listen to this one, it is awesome. It is from 1971. I think the colors on the cover already suggested this. It is drenched in drug sounds, late 60s psychedelic sounds. The electronics, that is reference to the Moog. So you have the Moog with the sitar. I don't know if Okko did more albums, but if you see this one or by coincidence come across it, check it out, you might like it. When you're hearing those sitar sounds, it's of course a small step to go into Bollywood soundtracks. And that's what we're going to do next. No surprises. This is Dance Dance, a Bollywood movie soundtrack from 1987, already late 80s, but the music you're getting is early 80s disco music. A little bit of boogie, well, actually everything a little bit. This sounds very familiar. It is of course based on Brother Louie. They're copying, they're adding stuff. It is made and created by Bappi Lahiri, which is of course the famous name for Indian soundtracks. It's a gatefold. It looks beautiful. When you see something like this, I have to pick it up. I can't leave this kind of stuff behind. For the next song that I want to sample, I will switch sides because the intro is very good.
Dance of love, dance on the moon.
Zindagi meri dance, dance, bandagi meri dance, dance.
And when you see these beat and covers, you already know what's coming next. And you're right, African albums with even more beat and covers. This is a minty copy of the Foundars 15 debut album from 1976, and that was a special moment in time for Nigeria, because it was the moment these young guys started bands. They just left the army, that's all the reference to 15. They were in Brigade 15 of the Marines. They mixed the music of Fela Kuti, the Afrobeat, with the funk sounds, psychedelic sounds that they heard on the radio, and made it their own. And you get it, a unique blend of music that is positive, it is hard, it is tough, and it is funky, just the way we like it.